Hi everybody and welcome back to the call room. Welcome back to what I think now is officially autumn. I know we're still rocking the shorts, but it is definitely autumn out there. It was definitely autumn at 5 o'clock this morning. But welcome back everybody. Lots to cover today. We're going to do a little bit of a look backwards towards the end of last season and then really focus our time today about looking forwards around stuff that's happening in the pool, stuff that's happening out of the pool. But I think most importantly, some hints and tips and tricks to help our swimmers hopefully over the coming weeks. But sound good?
Yeah, no, fantastic. Thank you, Lou.
Yeah, and how was your summer, by the way?
It was really good. Yeah, we had some time away, went to Spain, and then I was trying to create as much time as I could to recharge the batteries. And then before we know it, we're now back, and I think it's the fourth week of my plan, and we're back to it. So it's gone super fast.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I've never been away.
No, exactly.
No, all the tans are fading. Anyway, all right. Well, let's get going then. So let's do a little bit of a look back towards the end of last season. What we said we do on the last episode of the call room is we kind of look back, and there was lots and lots happening towards the end of last season. So if we look at kind of some of the events that most of our swimmers would have been at, we had the Junior Links League. And we had the Summer Sprintastic. So I know it's a little while ago, but kind of reflections back on those events.
So the Junior Links League, we have two teams that take part over 3 rounds. And it's not just in terms of a Lincolnshire League, which we compete in. It's also part of a national league. So I know that after the 3 rounds, I know our first team come 30th overall in the whole country. And they were 3rd in the county behind Lincoln Pentacula, Lincoln Vulcans, and then I think our second team was 5th overall. That was 6th, I believe. So, but a big thing for us is to get our younger ones in it. It's a different event where it's a team, so they're cheering each other's on, they're doing relays, and it's just a fantastic event and enjoyable for them to take part in. So really pleased with that. And then the Sprintastic, that's an event, I think it's only the 2nd year we've done it. And it's just a one day event, and it's what it is. It's like a sprint event where we're doing 50s and 100s, and it's like an end of season club event where the whole club gets involved. We have external clubs come and take part, and just try to finish the season swimming fast.
Yeah.
So, no, really good.
That was great fun. And we also had the nationals at the end of last year. I know we explained a little bit about it on the last call room in terms of how it works from a British and an English perspective, but felt like we had real progression year over year as well.
Yeah, no, and I think that we had 3 swimmers that were racing at British, and then we had 7 that were racing at the English nationals. So 7 swimmers raced in the summer championships has equaled the most we've had. But in terms of the performances of those 7, and nearly all of them getting into finals is fantastic. And we come away from that competition with 4 medals. So I think when reflecting, it was busy. Like before, I've probably gone and been there a day or 2, and then I've come back because we might not have someone racing. But it's a 2 1-week competitions, and I was there every day in the morning, and then we'd have people in the evenings for finals. So in terms of that aspect, that area of the club, really, really pleased, really proud.
Yeah, no, I think it was a fantastic end to the season for those swimmers. And I think what's really important is for our younger ones can look at that, and they see these swimmers in the pool, they know who they are, they get to talk to them, and if you can see it, you can do it. You believe you can do it yourself. So hopefully it's helping as an inspiration.
We're going to touch on like the club championships, but that's what makes it special. That we've got national champions and national swimmers, and our younger ones see that, and then I think that's super powerful. And we're going to talk about someone else in a little bit. That's super powerful, that they see that, and then hopefully they just understand that, you know what, if I listen and I'm consistent, then that can be me, and everyone has every chance.
Yeah, well, you just touched on it there. We had a former Grantham swimmer competing at the Olympics this time around. I think everybody was shouting and screaming at their TV, but just a massive congratulations to Freya Colbert, 4th in an Olympic final, just absolutely outstanding. And again, just great to see someone that comes from kind of these parts succeeding.
Yeah, no, it's super special. And what was lovely, she came down after, and Coach John introduced her and to the swimmers that were there. And again, it's just fantastic that sometimes things like that they probably seem unachievable, but when you meet the person and they explain what they've done and how they've done it, and it's just inspiring. And that's sport, isn't it, Lou? Just being inspired to do that, and the chances of someone doing that is hard, and we know that she did a lot to kind of get to where she's at. So yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, no, really good. And thank you again to Freya coming down and spending time with the swimmers. It was just super impactful. In addition to all of that, outside of the pool, we had the awards evening, which I think was a great success. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. What struck me at that awards evening is that there's a real balance between trying to recognise what was happening in the water, but also recognising more broadly what was happening out of the water as well. It just felt like a really inclusive event, not least because everybody was shouting at their phones because the football was on for the early part of it as well. But it was a really nice event, the awards evening.
Yeah, and I think that we spoke about this on a few of our the podcasts that we do, that we, obviously we're a swimming club, and that's for, first and foremost what we do, but we take real pride in developing swimmers to be volunteers. So we had people coming in and recognising our young volunteer program that are doing Duke of Edinburgh. We had recognised Coach John and Hannah. They were recognised for a different role or job title or role title. And I think that as an awards evening, we have some core awards for each squad, where it's obviously most improved, and there's commitment, and there's also the swimmer award, which is just trying to recognise the traits that we want, really, that we think are successful.
Yeah, that was great fun. Really enjoyed that evening. It was great to see. So if we start looking forward a little bit now, as you mentioned earlier, James, we're 4 weeks back into the season. Summer and TANs are starting to become a bit of a distance memory. So if you have a look at kind of where we are in the season, at the moment, we're super early. What are the things that are top of your mind?
Yeah, and I think that one, it's I sent an email around where it was like, after the summer, some people we provided opportunity for people to come in and swim, but it was more about everyone needing that time just to recharge. And probably the first 2 weeks there's not a rush to kind of do everything straight away. But now we're in our 4th week. Now's the time to start to formulate a routine and try to work on that. In terms of in the pool, it's laying the foundation of correct technique, correct skills, and trying to build into good habits the best that we can in terms of good habits, so that as we start to increase, depending on what the aims and objectives of each squad, but each squad there's progression, and as the swimmers start to do more or faster or whatever it might be, the foundations that they've worked on at the moment will continue. So at the moment it's we speak about process, and it's just trying to put stepping stones together that are going to be there over the course of the season. Good habits.
Yeah, and I know, kind of as a parent myself, at the end of the day, we are racing. You want your child to do well, you want them to get PBs, you want them to place and get medals and so on. But I do think the most productive conversations I think we can have as parents as we come away from these competitions is not around the time or the place. It's around those process goals. Did you put into practice what you've been working on in training? What are the things that you could be going back to training to focus on now that you can bring through to those next races? Those sorts of conversations, I think, are so much more powerful than just getting sometimes fixated on the time or the outcome.
It's hard, isn't it? Because as a sport, we'll reference counties in 2025, and there's times and things. But one of the things that I did is I moved the club championships from November, December to September. That's a period in time where we're kind of getting back into it, and that that event creates a safe environment for people, you know what, to put some lines in the sand of times, of events, but then really use the last 2 weekends to ask yourself the question on the specific events: what did I do well at this moment in time, and what were the things that I need to improve on, and really using that short-term goal setting over the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks to gradually improve. And yes, there was fast swimming, because you know, there will always be fast swimming, but some of our older ones, you know, they need a bit more time to get back into where they were. But hopefully everyone's got some real positives to take away. But if you only measure the success on 1:10 100 backstroke, then if it's not 1:10 100 backstroke, then in your mind that's not success. That's failure, which was not right, is it? So it's trying to change that mindset, and it does. It starts from the parent and educating the swimmer.
Yeah. So we talked about Freya a little while ago, and many of us who've been at the club for a long while had the pleasure of kind of seeing Freya come through the club. And we talked about the idea of kind of moving away from, you know, our swimmers seeing it's something they do when they're in the pool, or when they're at the meres, or when they're at a competition, to try and move away from that, to think about it more as an athlete mindset. And when we think about an athlete mindset, you think about somebody like Freya. She isn't thinking about it when she's in Paris for the Olympics. She's thinking about it as 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And what I mean by that is she's kind of focused on what are the right things to do all of the time, as opposed to those moments when she's just specifically in the swimming pool. What are some of the things that you think our swimmers could take from that as they go into this season?
And I think often we speak about that world class isn't a moment in time where you reach a standard and then automatically overnight you become world class. World class is a commitment to various things, and those things can be like, am I 15 minutes before the session starts, am I doing the pre-pool? And not just doing the pre-pool in terms of you know, touching on the exercises. Am I really doing them correctly with the correct technique? Am I staying behind after the session? And then am I actually stretching, and am I stretching correctly to help me to recover? When I have a drinks bottle, am I sipping little and often through the session, or am I someone that doesn't drink? And if I don't drink, then understand that my ability to not just perform within the training session, but my ability to concentrate and be mindful of what I'm doing drops off. And then it's like, well, actually how I perform when I am training is a little bit linked to what I eat and what I do. So the word is holistic. There's so many areas that you know, are important. And I think that probably as we talk about our squad structure and whether pathway is the correct term, it's thinking about, well, people that are in we call them podium squad now, they're going to think a little bit more, hopefully, in terms of, right, what am I eating? When should I eat after training? Have I got a snack after training? And what does that look like? Because that will look different on a day where we're doing technique and skills. It will look different to maybe what it does when I'm at maximum effort as a session. And then coming back, it might be for our younger ones, have I just got a drinks bottle?
Yeah.
For our entry squad, do I have a kickboard? So I think that starting to, rather than just rock up at 6:30, it's more than that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's, I think the first step is recognizing that, and maybe linking to your goal setting. Right, next week I'm gonna get there early. I'm gonna be like on the morning trainings. I'm gonna be outside meres when the doors open. I'm ready.
Yeah, and there's a phrase that you use a lot, kind of being around you poolside, which is, you know, success leaves clues. And when you think about kind of the successes of last season, what we talked about at the end of the season, if we go back to this time last year, I'm absolutely convinced we would have seen those clues that led to that success later on in the year. So what might feel like really small things, like, are you drinking your water? Are you stretching before and after? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating correctly? Have you got a bag of crisps and a bar of chocolate when you're poolside, or actually have you got something that's more nutritious? All of these things might just seem like little small incidental moments, but over the course of a year, they all add up ultimately to that success.
And I'm like a little story in a sense. I was speaking to one of my mentors that I used to work with, and he was an international swimmer, and he was a backstroker, and he was saying that like when I wanted to go under a minute, I just needed to be consistent with attending my sessions, but specifically for him, when he wanted to go 58 seconds, that well, I needed to really think about nutrition. I needed to make sure that my nutrition was good. When I wanted to go 56 seconds, then it needed to do more. It needed to be, athletic development and things like that. So it does come down to, it wasn't that he was doing anything different in the pool, but he was more engaged and committed to some area of his own development. And that can start in our junior squad, doesn't it? Just being on time.
Yeah. So we're coming to that time of year when we talked about whilst we're still wearing shorts, it is getting a bit colder outside. It's certainly colder in the morning. Everyone's back at school, everyone's back in the pool, there's bugs going around and so on. It's the time of year where people can get ill, they can get sick, maybe they get kind of ear infections and things like that. It's quite common. But what are some of the preventative things that our parents and our swimmers could do to try and mitigate that and minimize that as much as possible?
I think it links a little bit to that last conversation where nutrition is really important. So there's an advocate of 5 or 7 bits of fruit and veg a day. So as something, do the swimmers actually have that? Because fruit and veg, that provides our body with the vitamins and minerals for our body to naturally fight any infections or illness. So as a first point, are they having that? And are we including that? And where can I include that? So you can have a banana after training. That's already one taken care of. Also, it's hard because some of our sessions are early in the morning, some of our sessions are quite late at night, but when they go home and whatever the routine looks like for them, but are they going to bed and they trying to get restful sleep? Because if they are tired, and at the moment people will be tired, then if you're tired, you're more at risk of illness or being fatigued. So it's thinking about nutrition, it's thinking about sleep, and it's thinking about just being hydrated, and also being mindful of actually what is my mindset. So if I'm someone that when I walk on poolside and I am feeling a bit tired, am I really coming in with that mindset, or am I coming onto the poolside with right, you know what, I am tired, but today I'm going to work on 6 fast fly kicks, and coming in with a positive mindset, because I think that sometimes something as simple as that can really help.
Yeah, and I think also with the weather at the moment, just simple things like perhaps wearing a woolly hat stops kind of ear infections and things like that, making sure you're wrapped up warm when you're coming in and out of the meres as well. Just anything you can do. I remember saying a few years ago that the club that wins counties will be the one that uses hand sanitizer the best. It was pre-COVID, by the way. But it was that. It's just kind of keeping safe and sound.
That is washing hands, because there will, especially at the moment, we've just come back. People are tired. In the schools, there'll be transmission of germs, and washing hands. And if people are sneezing, it's just trying to keep yourself fairly distant from it. But if you are ill, it's a decision. If you need to be off, then you need to be off.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that exactly right. The key thing over the next few weeks is trying to build consistency of training and trying to do everything you can so that you can do that.
So talking for the next few weeks, we've got lots of competitions coming up, but as you said, we're trying to build the base for the year. So it's not all about what's coming up, but we have got some good competitions coming up. So we've got the Rob Wellborn meet coming up in the coming weeks. We've got the Intercounties, National Intercounties, the Cambridge meet, the Short Course Midlands Championships. We've got the distance time trial. And I know one of the things you're thinking about for some of our really young swimmers, maybe we can put some things in around time trials and so on. But yeah, any thoughts on all of those meets that are coming up?
No, it is. We've got a lot coming up, and it's not necessarily that the swimmers will do all of them. Some swimmers will do the Rob Wellborn meet. Some of our swimmers are going to Cambridge. We've got the regional events, so some of the guys will be working towards that. But I think a big thing is over the next few weeks, when you are looking at events, look at the entry of what events that you're selecting, and just try to rotate. I think we spoke about this probably this time last year, where you're not just sticking, and this is probably more for our younger ones, but also good practice for our older ones, where you're not just sticking to your main events at the moment. You're rotating through events, so that maybe success would be getting to December, and have I swam competitively in all the events short course. And then when we get into the long course season, the challenge is, can I do that again? Can I update all my times long course depending on the groups that you're in? So lots of events coming up, and again, it isn't the destination. Some people will be working towards the regionals, which is a fantastic event. Some people will qualify for the winter nationals, which is a fantastic event. But the success of the season will be over the next 12 months, and what we do. Be it some people might get to the British Championships in April, and some people will get to the Summer Championships, National Championships, and that will be when we kind of review and think, you know what, how have we done?
So, as well as the events, I just wanted to call out a couple of things as we enter our 100th year. So it's the 100th year of Grantham Swimming Club, which in itself is a phenomenal achievement, particularly for clubs coming out of COVID. When you think about the financial pressures and everything that happened, there's so many sporting clubs went under, unfortunately, coming out of COVID. But Grantham heads into its 100th year to celebrate that, and it was fantastic to see that John Allen, Coach John, is going to be our centennial president. So really excited about that. I had the pleasure of working with John on the committee when I was chair, and he was president. So that was a great call. But also there were some Swim England regional awards that were handed out, and Grantham Swimming Club was awarded highly commended for the club, and Kate Kinnear, who's our club secretary, was highly commended as volunteers. So some fantastic achievements there out of the water as well.
Yeah, no, it is like I guess we kind of put our blinkers on and we just try and do the best that we can. The fact that we're recognised regionally for hopefully some of the good work we're doing is really pleasing, and hopefully everyone within the club feels proud to be associated with the club.
Yeah. And I think just another ask as well, if there's anybody out there, particularly any of our newer parents who are interested in volunteering, there's lots of different roles with different levels of kind of time commitments and so on. But if you're interested in getting involved, please just reach out to any of us poolside, and we can point you in the right direction. We want there to be another 100 years of Grantham Swimming Club. And what that means is you fast forward out 10 years from where we are now. Some of us that are around today, we may not be with the club down there. We may have hung up our flip-flops and retired, but we want to make sure that everything's successful. So if you are interested, please do reach out. Well, I think that brings us to the end of today's episode of the Call Room. Thank you, James.
No, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll do another one in a few weeks' time. But in the meantime, fast swimming. And it's good night from me, and it's good night from him. And we'll see you next time.